Okay, awesome. Tell me where you're coming in from. Hope you're having a good Monday. It's a holiday in Canada today. UK, Canada, Israel, Portugal. Perfect. Awesome. Sweet. Okay, then let's jump into it. As always, we're going to go through some questions. You guys can type those into the chat, and then at the end, we can go through some X mode. Quick question, how many of you are trading X mode? How many of you are trading the strategy mode on the daily or the 4 hour? Daily, lots of daily. Okay, so most of you are trading the daily time frame. It's good. Who here is on demo? Put your hand up. Again, and I'm assuming the rest of you guys are all live, right? We got 1, 2, 3, around 4 or 5 demos. Oh, there it is. Okay, more. Gone live today. Congrats, Luke. Congrats for going live. Week 2 on demo. Perfect. Yep, keep going on demo until you have a good grasp of the strategy and you're making profits. Then you can go into live. I know a couple people in the inner circle went live this week too, which is pretty cool. Okay, let me open up TradingView and then we can jump into webinar. Okay, please confirm that you can see my screen. Should be seeing my TradingView, hopefully. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what are some questions you guys have this week? I mean, they've been pretty similar for the most part. So I looked it through the registration form too, and most of the stuff has been covered, or a lot of the same questions. If you guys have any specific questions and you're on the webinar right now, type them into the chat. And if you're watching the replay on YouTube, feel free to put your questions into the comments. And then we can also pull those questions directly from the video and also answer your questions on the recorded video that will be on YouTube. Good question from Barry. Do you need to worry about spread? Yes and no. So if you're going to be swing trading, the spread is going to have less impact. You're going to find on the exotics, you're going to have a lot higher spreads. For example, like USD NOK or USD ZAR, like those, because their volume is lower, so the spread is going to be higher. Every time you have a pair that has low volume, you're going to have basically a higher spread. And then you're also going to see a higher spread when the trading day ends, and then also when the market closes on Friday. So those are the only times when spread increases, or if there's low volume in the market, then that spread also gets bigger. You need to worry about spread when you're either executing a trade manually. So you don't want to open a trade when the market just opened, because the spread is going to be high, and you don't want to open a trade there manually, because your entry is going to be really bad with a high spread. You don't want to close positions when there's a high spread, because that's also going to give you less profit. That's really the only things you need to worry about. So don't open or close positions when the spread is high, because that's going to kind of give you a bad close or open. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of right now. Sylvan asking, time of entry, starting my trade often in the red and then goes to the green. Yeah, so it's absolutely normal for a trade to go into red when you open it. I mean, I would say probably 90% of your trades are going to go into red, or actually 100% of your trades are going to start in red, because when you open a trade, first of all, we have the spread, and then second of all, if you trade with commissions, you're going to have a commission. So your trade first needs to go into profit in order to cover the commission, and then you're going to be in the green. So every trade is going to start off negative, and as we all know, drawdown is pretty much part of trading. You can't avoid drawdown. If you're a trader and you're trying to avoid drawdown, and when you want to open a position, you want to be in profit right away, that's not going to work out. That is absolutely the wrong mindset to have. If you want to be in a trade with no drawdown, you're not going to be profitable trading at all. trading is a must, or sorry, drawdown is a must in trading, and we just can't avoid it. So it's absolutely normal to be in red when you open a trade, and it's absolutely normal to be in red for a couple of days, for even a week, until the position turns around and goes into profit. Raj is asking, two of my trades executed out of 6 selected last week. Is this normal? Yes. Depending on the pairs and stuff like that, but it's absolutely normal to have not all trades get triggered. The name of the game is patience, right? So you set your trades, and you wait for price to come to you. The beautiful thing with the strategy Breakfree Trading is we're using limit orders, and limit orders help you be more patient in the market, because then you're letting the trades come to you and not the other way around. If you're always doing market execution, your brain always wants to enter right away because it's so easy to enter. With limit orders, you set your entry, and then you wait for price to go up, hit your entry, and then it goes down. For example, let's say we're thinking USDZAR is going to go short, right? Let's say USDZAR is going to drop to the support. Eventually it'll drop there, but before this drop comes, we might have a retracement up, right? So the newbies, they're going to go enter a sell here, right? And then they're going to be sitting in drawdown all the way up here until this level gets retested, and then it drops to a support. I'm not saying that USDZAR is going to do that, but just to give you an example. So with limit orders, we can get the best entry possible, which means less drawdown and better entries, better risk, and more profits, right? So it's okay if only 2 of your trades get 2 out of your 6 get opened, because you don't need that many trades. Two is more than enough, and it's only Monday, so I mean, by Wednesday you could have all 6 open if the market decides to go into your entries. So just a matter of patience. You can always look for more setups if you want to. You can have more than 6 pending orders if you want. I wouldn't recommend having more than 6 positions open, or more than 6 trades open. But if you want, you can add more trades to your list. Martin is asking, I suppose the main one for me is what to do if only 1 or 2 positions of your trigger. Do we let the trade play out partially, or do we force buy or sell? You never want to force a trade. That's probably the worst thing you can do. When you force a trade, then you're not going with kind of the momentum of the market. You wanna, if your entries hit, great, they hit, you take them. If they don't hit, you leave it. You wait for price to go back up, and then you enter. What I recommend you do is, let's say, let me switch this thing to strategy mode quickly, and then I'll quickly find the setup. I think it was one, not the best example, but maybe it works. So let's say this candle goes up and hit your entries here. Let me put a short position here. Let's say it hits 2 of your 3 entries, right? So you're gonna leave the other one pending, the 3rd one, and sometimes what happens is price will move down. It'll hit your first 2, it'll move down, and then come back up, retest that area, maybe hit your 3rd one, and then come back down to TP, right? So you don't want to force a trade. You want to let your positions run that are already open, and in some scenarios, price will come back up, grab liquidity from the zone, open your 3rd or 2nd position, and then continue its way down. But you don't want to force trades, especially when you're trading the daily, and you don't have any trading experience. I would just stick to the strategy, and place your limits, let price hit the limits, and then that's it. And then from there, we let it hit TP, or we let it hit stop loss. Those are the only 2 things you should do. Hugo is asking if I place 3 entries and only them. Oh, that's, I guess, let me here see, same question maybe. Yeah, so that's a good question. If price hits your first 2 entries, or just your first one, but you still got 1 or 2 positions pending, and price hit TP1. So let's say in this trade, we took the short, price went up here, hit our limits, let's say hit only 1 limit, and went down and hit our TP, and we closed the position at TP1, and we still got 2 pending orders up here. So what I would do is I would go back and place my third one again. So I have 3 here again. And when price goes back up, it'll hit them again and then come back down. One thing you have to note here is these are going to be repeated trades, right? So if it comes back up, it's going to be a repeated trade. So you can see this guy is on his third run. So this trade, we can see this was the first one, second one, and this is going to be a third touch. So this third touch is going to have a smaller probability of playing out than the first 2. You can probably still take the third one, but it's not as recommended as the first 2. But let's say you profited on the second one, right? And you still have 2 orders pending here. You can just add a third one, and it'll come back down, and then take those entries. And actually, to go back to the other question, if only 1 or 2 positions got hit, here's a great example of that. So in this case, you can see for the short here, we can see price hit the first entry, right? And it went down and went back up, and then you can see this huge wick. It basically triggered all 3 and then continued down to TP2, right? So it's always good to leave them pending and don't force the trade, because a lot of times they'll come back up and then you can take that again. Raj is asking, Patrick, can we revisit strategy mode, GBP cat, use the knock if these were taken correctly? For sure, let me open this up. Okay, so we're on GBP cat. If you guys don't hear from me, it's because I just took a sip of water. I have a dry throat. Okay, so let me, is this on the 4 hour or on it? Okay, daily, never mind, I just read it. Okay, so your question is if they were taken correctly. I don't know your trades. I don't know if you took them correctly. So I can't give you a 100% answer, but I'll kind of explain to you what I see. So I actually posted this trade in the inner circle. If you're part of the inner circle, I told you why this would not be a good trade and why I skipped it. So if you're not in the inner circle, do the assessment test, get yourself into the inner circle, because that's where the magic happens. But you can see on the daily, it's kind of been struggling to break this, and then we can see we broke the support and then we dropped lower. And if you look at this daily candle close, it definitely closed below our support, right? So I wouldn't enter this manually, and if I would have seen this candle yesterday, I wouldn't place my limits either. Let me try to simplify this, because I don't want to confuse you guys. I want to try to keep this as simple as possible. So the thing with trading is no trade is going to be 100%, and not every trade is going to be a winner, right? So in this example, GBP CAD, is not a loser yet. It's not a winner yet. It's in drawdown. Your stop loss is down here. So we can't judge this trade yet because it hasn't hit stop loss. So for me personally, I stayed out of this trade just because I didn't like the way it looked based on the structure. I don't want to go into detail into that right now, just because I know a lot of you're trading the daily and just going to confuse you more. The beauty of trading the daily strategy mode is the win rate is around 50 to 70%. 50% is when you really suck, you're not following the algo the way you should. It's going to be at 50%. If you're following everything we tell you, you're going to be sitting at 70% win rate. So based on that, you can take the trades and you're going to be good to go over the long term. Now we don't know, the kind of the series of how many losses you're going to go in a row, but over time your win rate is going to be 70%. So without going into too much detail, why I wouldn't take this trade, you can take it and then see how it works out. I know that's kind of sounds stupid to tell you that, but to be honest, the algo is so accurate, and if you take all the trades, you're gonna have a positive portfolio. So even with my trades, like if I see an opportunity on X mode or something, like I'm gonna be certain, this trade has a 90% probability of playing out, whatever, right? Sometimes they'll still don't play out. So you know, I can look at, okay, why didn't this play out? And it's some weird thing, like, you know, just broke resistance because of news or whatever, right? So I'm just because it failed, I'm not going to change my strategy, right? I'm not going to say, okay, this failed, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to keep doing what I know is working, right? And for me, I know trading the daily is going to work for me over the long term, as long as I stick to the strategy. Like, for example, right now, if you're in this trade and you're in drawdown, which is almost halfway to the stop loss, and you close your trade here in the middle, you're going to be closing at a loss. A lot of cases, and you know, a lot of members can confirm this, if you look through the global chat, is sometimes price will go into near your stop loss, not quite hit it, and then go up into your entry, and then you can close it at break even. And from there, if you see price pushing back up, right, so it's back above your zone, above the entry level, then you place your limits again, and when price goes back down, you can hit your limits and then go to TP1. But because right now this is below or long position, we want to move or TP to break even. Just don't close the trade before it hits stop loss. We want to hit stop loss, or we want to hit TP. That's it. So I mean, I can't tell you too much because the algo gave you the signal. And if the algo gives you a signal, it means it's a good trade because it filters out the bad ones. But you know, using my previous knowledge, I can kind of look if it's a good one or not. But I don't want to confuse you guys too much because the more you guys know, the harder trading is going to be. To be honest, let me look at USD quickly too. Yeah, so this one is still fine on daily. You know, if you have your limits, then you should be able to enter that. You can see on this, you know, you have higher lows, so this could hit it and then come back up. So the USD CAD is still fine. Let's look at this on a 4 hour too. I'm actually looking to take this on X mode. I just remembered. I'm waiting for price to go into my support. Yeah, so I'm waiting for price to go into my support level here, and I'm actually gonna take this buy because I think it's a good trade. USD CAD. And then you guys also wanted to look at. I see USD knock a couple times in here, so let's look at that. I don't want to review too many pairs because it's going to be too time consuming. I'd rather kind of go over the strategy and stuff like that. It's going to help everyone because, you know, in simple terms, if it's on the algo, it's a good trade. As long as it's not a repeated trade, right? If it's repeated too many times, then it's probably not going to be the best trade. Okay, Barry's asking how far back. Oh, sorry, yeah, Barry. If it's already gone through the entry point, can you still buy at the better price? For example, USD knock, okay, catch up, CHF right now. Okay, no. So trades like this, where price went through your entry, and your limit orders are not triggered, meaning you're not in this trade, you skip this trade. What you want to do is you want to wait for price to come back up. So let's say this kind of closed bearish, and all of a sudden we see a big bullish engulfing for whatever reason, and price is trading above this level, like it's trading above it. Then you can place your limits again, as long as the algo still shows the long position, right? Then you can place your limits and then take it up. If price, you know, keeps trading below this and you're not in the trade, skip the trade. If you're in this trade, let it hit stop loss or let it hit TP. Right now, this trade you should be moving to break even. Pull your TP down to break even. And this was a. Let me see how many times this guy hit. So recently, this position got hit with TP1. So once, twice, 3. So this would be if you entered here, that'll be the 4th trade. So, you know, depending when you looked at the chart, obviously it's going to be a different number for you. But right now, this is going to be the 4th trade on this setup. So if you didn't make money on the first one, if you didn't make money on the second one, and if you really didn't make money on the third one, you really shouldn't jump in the 4th one. And to kind of elaborate on that question, you know, how far to go back. You don't want to go back too far. you know, and from like 1989, that's going to be too far because those zones are not relevant anymore as much. You want to stay recently. So if you're trading daily, you know, you can go back like 3-4 months. Just kind of what happened recently, because the daily is such a high time frame. You don't really have to go back that far. You just kind of have to focus on what's there, if that makes sense. Leonard, should we consider taking a short trade on the €USD daily since it's a repeated trade with low probability hitting TPs? And when would you suggest to consider not taking a repeated trade? I guess I kind of answered that now, but we can still look at USD quickly. Yeah, I guess, yeah. So this one, I wouldn't, if you didn't profit on the second one, I wouldn't take the third one. I would skip it. If what you could do, I would do this on demo if you want. I would do this on a live account, just because it's not part of the strategy, not the way Asger and Anton recommend it. Is when price moves up, and maybe this is something you can do for repeated trades. Like if it's a third or fourth time hitting it, this is going to be a third time. So if you see price moving up, it's in your zone. You can wait for a closing candle. So in this case, you want to wait for a bullish engulfing bearish candle. So an engulfing is when the candle engulfs the previous candle. So here you can see on this setup, you can see that this candle engulfed the previous candle. So you can see this candle is bigger than the previous one, right? And it closed bearish. So on the sell here, on the sell zone, you can see it hit it, and we had a bearish engulfing. That means, okay, there's still some sellers in this level. So then you would enter on the retrace. So you wouldn't, if price is down here, I wouldn't recommend entering here. You wait for price to move up. You place your limits on recent resistance, and then it'll get triggered there. So if it's repeated trade, that's what I would do. I will wait for the closing candle to get a nice bearish closing candle, just so I know that there's still sellers there. Because if it's a repeated trade and it already hit a couple times, it can just go through, hit your limits, and then, you know, retest it and then go back to the next level or go up to the next level. And I only recommend that if you have some experience trading. If you're just starting out, best thing you can do, like literally the best thing you can do, is just to skip the trade. Like there's 3 positions you can have in the market. You can have a sell, you can have a buy, and you can be flat, no position. No position is still a trade. Sometimes it's better to not have a trade than to have a trade. And I know, you know, the thing with trading, it's so easy to just open a trade. That's why so many people lose. They just don't have the patience to wait for the right setup. So if you're just starting out and you don't have that much experience in trading, just skip this trade. When is an alert disqualified to take? When it hits stop loss before entry? Does the PAS display info on the same day of the candle highlighted or next day? So the alert, the setup the algo gives you is disqualified when it's either above, if it's trading above your short, or below your buy, because we want to enter with limits, right? So if you're setting up sell limits here, if price is trading above it, it's not going to make sense. You're not going to be able to place them. So for a short entry, you want price trading below your entry, and for buy, like on USD CAT, you want price to trade above your entry, right? So this is a trade you can take. And the next thing you need to look out for is how often has this trade how often has it been hit. So this one has been hit quite a bit. I mean, it used to be down here, so it moved up a bit, but we've been buying this for weeks now, USD CAT. So eventually this guy is gonna break out, it's gonna pop like crazy, and yeah, we'll see where it pops. It can either pop to the upside or it can pop to the downside, because right now it's consolidating. So with the consolidation, what happens is you can see, you know, it started off big and wide, and then it becomes smaller, and eventually it's going to break out either to the upside or the downside. But when we're trading the daily, so I think this position could still be valid. But if you didn't make money on the third or second, I would be careful on this one, on the fourth or third. Does the PIS display info on same day of the candle highlighted or next day? I don't quite know what you mean by that, so feel free to elaborate on that question, Zach. I'm just going to move to the next question. So like GBP CAD example, what you said. Let me check out GBP CAD. I don't know if I know what you mean 100%, but maybe if I look at it. No, so you wouldn't wait for price to reach entry. Like I said, I just kind of explained it. You want price trading above it. So if it's trading below here, like ignore this. This is a big no. Don't enter. Unless you're already in the trade, then you can keep it. You can wait for it to hit stop loss or your TP1, right? If the algo disappears, then you don't take a trade. Again, if it's trading below it, don't take it. If you see it moving up and you know it's trading above it for a couple of days, it's trading above this level for a couple of days, then you can again place your limits, and then price will come back down, hit your limits, and then you can take it back up to TP1. Hope that makes sense. Okay, I don't know if I missed something. Let me guys know if I answered everything. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. Pop them into the chat. Happy to help. If the algo shows a long trade, but it's trading on a downward channel and it's not a repeated trade, is that deal still place limits on 1 day time frame? Can you show me an example, Dylan? Do you know which pair you see this on? Or is it just a hypothetical thought? GBP and ZD. Okay, let's open it up. Let's see. So I mean this. Yeah, so this is fine, because a lot of times what it happens is you can trade these bounces, right? So you can see it hits a trend line and it moves up to the TP, right? So same thing again, you know, you can hit this trend line and move up to TP. So if you see something like that, you know, it looks bearish, but you can totally take it. It'll be fine. And a lot of times what happens is you can have these falling wedges, and then, you know, price can trade, bounce between them, and eventually it'll break and then go up, right? And then same thing with the rising wedges, right? So, I mean, this is not really a wedge, but a wedge would look more like this. So you can have price trading up, then it gets consolidated, and then it can fall. Sometimes it'll break up, but most cases it'll break down. But just focus on the levels that the algo gives you. They're going to be the most accurate. Like the wedges and stuff, that's just bonus. You don't really have to know those. So yeah, this would still be, this one would still be valid. Hey Zach, just send me a question for part 3 again, and then I'll have a look. Barry, do you know when Breakfree Trading is migrating away from TradingView? I don't want to buy a year, and they migrate shortly after. So your subscription is not going to have anything to do with the platform. I'd actually recommend you buy it now, because I'm pretty sure once the platform is up and running, we're going to up the price, because there's going to be more features and all that. Oh, the TradingView subscription. Okay, gotcha. My bad. I mean, just why would you buy a year? Just go with the monthly if you know that we're migrating. We're probably going to be launching the beta end of this month or next month. So I would just go with the monthly. I have the monthly too, and it's totally fine. So if that's a problem for you, I would just go with the monthly. You know, then you're gonna pay for it for a month or two, and then you can cancel. It's not gonna be longer than that, I think. The platform is really solid already. We just want to make sure it's good for you guys. Is the setup on GBP NZD similar to GBP CAD? Let's have a look. No, it's not similar. Not in this case. Oh, it looks like it removed the... Yeah, so it's not the same. This one will be better because it's trading above it and you can still place the limits. So we got some decent support here too. Ronnie, my trial expired today. Sent multiple email regarding 3 months discovery, but no answer. When did you send that message? If it's within the last 24 hours, I would wait a bit more. If you want, you can email me or private message me your email, and then I'll forward that to the team. But just be patient because there's a lot of requests, there's a lot of demand, so sometimes it takes a little longer. And if your trial expired, you're probably going to hear an email from Tisha anyway, because your algo is going to be removed. So I would just stay patient, and then she'll get back to you eventually. If you don't hear back within the next 24 hours, shoot me a message, and then I'll make sure you're gonna be taken care of. All right, thanks, Devin. Yes, my it was off on this screen, yeah, so it's still showing, but I would still move it to break even on this one. The question I had about the strategy 3 was where Asker explains about the moving the stop loss down to entry price. But when did he move stop loss? But why did he move stop loss when the trade had not kicked in? Not sure. Maybe there was a misunderstanding, or maybe he was just giving an example of a trade that wasn't opened. So yeah, not sure. Doesn't seem like an important point. You know, the important thing you gotta note is if the algo removes it, the position from the chart, then you move it to break even, the TP. Everything else is really relevant. But if you really want to know, I mean, maybe ask in the global chat, and maybe Asker can jump in. I haven't watched. I'll have to rewatch that video so I know exactly what you're talking about. Barry, what are your thoughts about BFT strategy on 4 hour for stocks? I'm not a stock trader, so I don't know 100%. I've seen a lot of people have success in the global chat with stocks on 4 hour. So I don't want to give you an answer I don't have an answer to, or I don't want to answer your question if I don't have the right answer to your question. Any other questions, guys? We got 15 more minutes roughly. So the inner circle, you're gonna have to fill out the assessment test. You're gonna have watched all the videos, and then once all that is done, you can join the inner circle. Just type in inner circle into the global chat, and it'll give you all the instructions. Martin, I'm sorry if I misheard, but what was your answer about 1 out of 2 trades being triggered and TP1? Yeah, so if only 1 or 2 trades positions get triggered, you just leave the positions there as long as the algo still shows it. And then when price goes back up to the price, back to the entry, then you can they're going to be entered again. So just watch that it's not a repeated trade, it's still a valid trade, and then you can keep those limits. If only a few positions get opened, don't close them. Like, just leave them open, because sometimes, you know, the price will even come back up, create a double top, grab liquidity, get all 3 entries, and then come back down. So I would just leave them. I hope that answers your question. Is it a good idea to trade the extension levels on X mode on 4 timeframes versus 1 versus daily, due to more opportunities of extension triggers on X mode? I don't know, is it? I mean, it depends on your strategy. If it is, then it probably is. But based on your question, probably not, because it looks like you don't have enough experience yet. Sorry if that's too blunt, but just saying the way it is. I'm specifically wondering if those 2 triggered positions should be closed at TP1. Yes. So right. Okay. If 2 positions open, if the first 2 positions open, you hit TP1, you close them, and if you want, you can place your limits again. So you can place your limits on that order box again with the same settings. If you want, you can lower your risk a bit, so just you lose your profits, because it'll be repeated trade. So you can lower your risk on that trade. But yeah, if you hit both positions, if you had 2 positions, you close both positions TP1, just like the strategy tells you to do. Hema was asking, yeah, same question. If it only hits 1 position and hits CP1, close a position, and then you can re-enter later if you want. If the algo recalculates after your entry is triggered, should you aim for the recalculate TPs or stick to the original TPs? If the algo recalculates your TPs, you can change the TPs. If it recalculates your stop loss, don't change your stop loss, because your open positions, your lot size is going to be based on a previous stop loss, and if you change it, you're gonna have probably, or maybe you're gonna have too much risk, you know, depending what the stop loss is. So I wouldn't change the stop loss, but I would change the TPs. And if your entries are not triggered yet and the entry box changes, change your entries too. I'm new to Breakfree Trading, but not to Forex. The reason why I asked about X mode is because I'm a professional trader for almost 5 years, and I'd like to know if you see more extension levels triggers on 4 versus daily from your experience with the algo. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, for sure. You're going to see more extensions hit on the 4 hour than the daily. and then you're gonna like the lower you go, the more often the extensions are gonna get hit. So they're not gonna be hit often on daily, but then as you go into the 4 hour, it's gonna be more often. The 1 hour is gonna be even more, and then the 50 minute, you're gonna have more, and then the 5 minute, you're gonna hit those all the time. It doesn't mean those are gonna be your best trades, but as you know, the lower you go, the easier it is for zones and levels to break. If you only have one split order, one position open, you go for TP1. Daniel's asking, how do you calculate your lot size on X mode? What I do is, I kind of know, just kind of out of my own head, but let me quickly show you a website. So if you Google position size calculator, there's quite a few you can use. You put in your count currency, count balance. Oh, I don't think he's on the screen. Yeah, so just Google position size calculator, and then you can put in your currency, account balance, risk percentage, stop loss pips, currency pair, and I'll give you all that. And that's probably going to be the easiest way. What you also can do is, look, if you have, let me go back to TradingView. What I've done a couple of times is I've just looked at the panel. So if I see, a buy position on GBP NZD on a daily, you can do, account size. And then you can just use that if you want. It's not going to be 100%, but if you use that position size calculator on the website, just Google it, and then you can use that. It's going to be the most accurate. Or what you can do is, if you're using limit orders, you can place a limit on your MetaTrader, and then place your TP and stop loss, and kind of see how much you're risking on the stop loss, and you can adjust your position like that. Lots of good questions today, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. I don't think we have time for X mode today. I know someone asked if we can go through X mode on the 1 hour. If you look at some of the other webinars, we've gone through US30 on X mode a couple times already. So feel free to review those. If you guys have any X mode questions, definitely join the inner circle. Work yourself up to the point. All I do there is share X mode trades, talk about X mode, stuff like that. So we'd love to see you guys in there. And if you guys have questions, any further questions, you can drop them into the global chat. Like always, let me know in the global chat what you thought of the webinar. If you guys have any feedback, we'd love to hear that. And then I'll see you guys next week, Monday. Okay, awesome guys. See ya. Have a good day.